So for the last year, I released some open source components for React Native. One of them is React Native gifted chat. It's a chat UI that you can include in your application in few minutes, and it will manage for you all the bubbles, all the text input, and some other features. Also, I created a React Native basketball game inspired by the Facebook game in Messenger. And as you can see, it's pretty smooth thanks to the React Native performance. First, I want to introduce you React Native. So it's JavaScript framework for building native application using React. And React, so it was introduced by Facebook 3 years ago. And React is helpful because it helps you to split your applications into multiple components, making them really usable. And the most important thing is that React Native application is a real mobile app. It's not a HTML application in a mobile. Some applications already using React Native. So let's take the example of Facebook Ads Manager. It's an application built from scratch in React Native. It was the first one released by Facebook. So it's on iPhone and Android using the same code. Also, the Airbnb application, the difference is that they add an existing application and then started to implement the new features with React Native inside the existing app. And so 2 days ago, a developer from Airbnb tweeted this. He said that they are still working on it, but for now they have more than 100 screens in React Native inside the Airbnb application. So we'll create an application. We'll have 2 screens, and we'll do it in live coding. The first screen will have a form where we can put a name, then touch the next button to go to the second screen. Second screen will be a chat, and here we'll be able to send and receive some messages. Okay, so the first thing to do to get started with React Native is to install the iPhone and Android SDK. So in the documentation, you can find all the information you need regarding this. You have to know that if you want to build for iPhone and iOS, you need a Mac. You cannot do it on Windows or Linux. This is one restriction. So when you install everything, you can initialize your first project. To do this, you have to type a command, React Native init, and a name for your project. Sorry. You want it? Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. So if you do this command, it will generate for you a boilerplate of a basic application. And let's see this application. So it will generate for you some files like this. This one. First, it's NPM based project. So you have a package JSON. Inside, you will have the dependencies of the project. For example, by default, it will be React and React Native. And you have also here 2 folders, Android and iOS. So the Android folder, it's a real Android project. So you can have access to the Android manifest file, for example, and you can do some fine tuning here. And in the iOS folder, you have an Xcode project. So the same way you can, for example, have access to the info playlist. And of course, you have some JavaScript code. So here we have two files, index iOS and index Android. So it is entry points of the application. iOS will use by default the iOS file and Android the Android file. So this is the project that is generated. After that, to run the simulator, you have to run this command. It will start the simulator of iOS. And by default, this is a project that you have. Welcome to React Native. And on Android, you have exactly the same behavior. To run on Android, you have to do run Android. Okay. Let's go back to the index. First thing we will do is to create the first screen I showed you before. The first screen will be this one, so it will be just a form. We'll do it. So we'll create a new file here. We'll put it inside a folder src components. We will call it home.js. And here we'll start to create our first component. To do that, you have to first import React like this. So you can import it because inside the package file you have a dependencies of React, so you can import it. Next step will be to import some components from React Native. So we'll need view and text. I will show you what can we do with it. And next step will be to create a component. To do that, you have to create a class, and it will be called home, and it should extend from React component to make it a component. After that, you need to create a render method, and inside this method, you will say what you want to display on the screen. So we'll create a return function, and inside we'll write some JS code, JS6 code. It looks like HTML, but it's not. It's JavaScript, but using a syntax of ES6 called JS6. And here we'll write hello home, for example. And then you need to export this class to make it importable. So here we have our first component. I will copy it and I will create a new file. I will call it this time chat.js. It will be the second screen. And I will just rename the name of the class here and hello chat, like this. So for now we have two files, index iOS and index Android. What we want is to have only one file to share the code between the two platforms. So we'll remove everything here and also on Android. And then we'll do from scratch together. So in index iOS, for example, we will, first thing to do is to import app registry from React Native. It will be useful to tell to React Native what is the main component. So the main component will be related to the routing. So to do that, we need to call the register component from app registry. First parameter is the name of the application. We called it chat app, and then it receives a function. And this function should return a component. So we'll call it app, and this app component, I import it, and I will create just after that. So here, in this app file, I didn't create yet. I will create it, and I will share it between iOS and Android. So here, I use the app registry to tell React Native what is the root component, the first one to display. And I will do it like this. So in ES6, we have a new syntax here. Instead of writing the function like this, you can use the fat arrow like this, and to return something. So here there is an implicit return in this function. So it makes our code a bit shorter. I save this file. I will copy it in Android, and then I will create my app.js file here. And in this file, we will manage the navigation between the pages. So we'll need to import React from React. And we'll import also so the two components we created. The first one was home from it's located in components folder. We'll import also chat from same folder. And we'll need something to manage the routing. So we will use an open source one called React Native Router Flux. So inside we'll need from this open source library router and scene. To be able to import it, first we need to install it. Since it's not yet in the dependencies, to add it in your project, you have to, so this is a React Native project. Here you have to do npm install, the name of the package, and save to add it to the package.json file. We'll do it, and then it will be installed. While it's installing, we can still continue to work on the application. Here, we'll create this app component. It will extend from React component to make it a component. Inside, we'll have a render method to display something on the screen. And here, we'll have the router. We'll have also a route scene. And inside, we will have our two scenes, home and chat. So key home. We'll use component home and add title home. So here, this is the name of the route. We'll access using this value. Component is what component to use, and title will be in the navigation bar. It will be displayed at the top. We do the same for the chat. The chat screen will have a different title and a different component. And then we have to export the app component. We can save this, and we'll try here. So you saw it was loading. It's because when you run the React Native project, so first it starts the emulator, and also it starts what we call the packager here automatically. This packager is a kind of webpack, and his role is to bundle all your JS files of your project into one file and serve it to the application. It's a kind of web server, if you want. For example, if I refresh my app, you see that the server is answering with the content. And this is only for development. When you build for release, you don't have anymore the need of the packager. So here we have our first component, but we cannot see the content. We wrote hello home. It's not displayed because it's behind the navigation bar. So we'll have to add here at the root scene a padding top. So you will see that it looks like CSS, and using the style prop, we can set a value. I will refresh, and now I can see my content. What I want to show you now is, for example, in Android, I will open it and I will refresh. The position will not be the same because the navigation bar here, it's smaller than the iOS one. So here there is a margin. So I will show you how to make a condition if you want to customize Android or iPhone. So to do that, you have to import from React Native platform component. And with this, you can set a condition. If platform OS equal iOS, then you will use the value 64, or for Android, for example, 54. You can save and refresh. So it should be a bit different. So it's better now. So we can still make conditions in our application if we want something very specific. The next step here will be to add the form to the first page. We will remove the hello home here, we don't need. And the first thing was, if you can see, we have enter your name label here. Then we have a text input, and then we have a button. So it will be enter your name first. Here, we'll save and see how it's displayed. So we'll add some styling here. To do that, first you need to import from React Native style sheet, and it will allow you to create some styling. So you can declare a variable style and use style sheet create. And inside you can put your style. So the first one will be title. It will be we'll add margin top 20, margin left 20, and let's say font size 20. And to use it, you will have to pass it as a prop to the text component, like this style, and just to pass the variable style title. You can save and reload, and you see that the style is applied here. So it's like CSS, but it's not exactly CSS. So you have to check the documentation to see what properties here you can use. So now we'll see something very useful. It's the hot reloading. So by pressing Command D, you can enable the React Native development menu, and you have access to enable hot reloading here. And with this feature, you can change your component, save the file, and automatically it will be refreshed, and you can work faster like this. Next step is to add the text input. We'll add a style. We'll call it name input. We'll have a placeholder. It will be, for example, Jon Snow, and we'll create this new style here. Name input. We want 840. We'll add a border. Let's say border with 2, border color black, and a margin 20, and we'll see how it's displayed. Text input is not defined. Why? Because I didn't import it. Here, you can only use the component you import. This is not the case if you do some React for web. In web, you can already use all the HTML tag like div and so on. In React Native, this is a difference. You have to import first what you want to use. And here, you cannot use a HTML tag. It's really, you need to import only the one from React Native, or you have to create your own. So we have our text input here. We'll just add a padding. Next step will be to add a button. We'll add touchable opacity. It's a component from the React Native library here. So we need first to import it. Inside, we have to add a text. And the text button will be just next string. We'll save and see. So we have now this button. To know what you can import here, you have to check the documentation of React Native. On the left, you have the list of what you can use. For now, we just use the view, the text, and the touchable opacity. So touchable opacity, basically, it's a view with the ability to listen to the touch events. So we'll add some styling to the touchable opacity and the text. So the text will use a new style. We'll call it button text, for example. We'll add this new style, and we'll just set the position on the left and the font size. Here we have our button. Next step will be to go to the next screen. To do that, with the touchable opacity, you can pass an on-press event here. So you pass to it a function with you can use the fat arrow keyword. The fat arrow keyword is useful here because you can keep the scope of the container. So if you do this here, this is really the class. So this is useful to use the fat arrow to have access to the scope of the class. So here, the goal will be to navigate to the second screen and to pass it the name. So the name will be stored in a state. This is a feature of React. So the text input, when you will type a character, will store each character to make it accessible when we want. So to do that, we need to set a state. By default, it will be a name with an empty string. And the text input will update this name. To do that, we need to create a function here. Change text. So it's a prop. You have to use this syntax and change text. You pass it a function. This function will receive a text. It will be the text typed by the user. And we will use this text to update the name state. So we need to use this set state. In this method, we say that we want to change the name to the text value. And we need to use this value using the value prop to the text input. So here, at the onPress, for now, we'll just alert to see if we can retrieve properly this string. So let's save. We'll write hello, type next, and we can display we have access to the name. I will show you now a bit of debugging. You can use the console log here and use this state name. And then you have to enable, using the development menu, the debug.js remotely feature. And then it should open automatically a tab in your browser. It works only for Chrome. And here in the console, you have the React Native logs. I will just press enter, and so I will first need to type something, and then it's displayed here. So you can debug like this. Also, you have the possibility to add a breakpoint here using the debugger keyword. And when you do that, it will stop the code at this step. I refresh. And here automatically, there is a breakpoint here. So it can be useful for debugging. Refresh. So we'll navigate to the second screen. To do that, we need to first to import a component from our router. So from React Native router flux, we'll import action. This action will be used here to navigate to the second screen. So it will be chat action.chat because the root, the name, the key we use was chat. That's why. So here we'll pass the name, and we'll get the name from the state. Like this. Now we can go to our chat component, and here we will receive the name. To have access to the name, you need to use the disprops name. It's located. All the props are located inside the dis.props. So we'll try. We'll type John here. So the name is retrieved here and displayed. So here my ESLint is telling me that name is missing in props validation. It's because it's a good practice to set a default value for name in case you don't have it. So to do that, you need to do chat.defaultProps, and here you can set all your value. So by default, you can say John, for example. Also, you can set a prop types. It means that you accept only values with this type. So here we want only a string. So we need to use React prop types.string. Sorry?
Prop types with a lowercase.
Yeah, there is a mistake?
Lowercase.
Here? Oh yeah, thank you. You're right. Thanks. Great. So here it should work. So it's a good practice. We can set here all the props you receive. Next step will be to implement the chat. So we'll use a component I created. It's called gifted chat. It's in few lines. Sorry. You can add a chat UI. It looks like this, but you can customize. You can change the color. You can change a lot of things. And the only things you will have to do first is to install it. So we'll go back to the terminal, and we will type this command, npm install, and it will add this component into our project. And then we have to use to do like this example. So this component, I will copy this, and then I will paste it here. So it should receive messages props. Here we'll have a list of messages to display. An endsend method, so what to do when we will send the message, and the identification of the user. So here what is interesting is that how easily it is to implement and reuse a component. So you can create components for what you want, and just by using different props, you can use the same components in different projects. So the state messages here will create like this. By default, it will be an empty array. And Here we don't need any more view and text. We can remove. So we need to import this gifted chat component from this library. So we can just check the package, the JSON here. When we do the npm install save, they are added here. So that's why we can import them. So we have our component. Second props, it's an onSend method. So here you receive the message to send, and you can send it to your backend. Okay, I think we are good with this. So now the next step will be to add some backend code. So I already prepared some code, so I will change my branch. So I will check out another branch. But first I will stop the packager to be sure there is no conflict. And then I will start it again. So what I did, I just opened a different branch, and on this branch it's the same code, but I added some codes to show you faster how to implement a backend. So a new file in the project is this one. It's a backend. Basically, it's just a Firebase backend with some methods. Here, I just initialize the connection. I have a method here, load messages, to get the messages from the backend, and I have a send message method here, and finally I close the method to close the connection with Firebase. And I will use this method in the chat. So let's go back to the chat component. And here, so first we need to import this backend file. And so for the sending, I have added my method here. I retrieve the ID of the user and the name. Also, here we have new methods. We have component will mount. First method added here. What is it? All React components have a life cycle. It means that before the rendering, there is component will mount called, and inside this method you can do some operations. Then after the render, you have the component did mount. So here I decided to load the messages from the server at this moment to first to display an empty chat, and then to add the messages just after the first render. And then we have a method component will unmount. It's called when you close the chat. For example, if you go back to the home page, this component will unmount will be launched. And I think we can try if it's working. So this is iOS, this is Android. I refresh. On the left, I will set the name Android, and on the right, I will set iPhone, and we'll try to chat. And it will be the last step of the application. So here, we'll call Android to see if it works, and the message is received. The code is available on my GitHub here, Farid Safi /chat app. Before the questions, I want to talk to you about LeReacteur. So we organize React Native training sessions during 5 days. The next sessions will be on December and January. So if you are interested, you can go to this website, learn React Native in Amsterdam, or you can come talk with us after the meetup.